Shabbat Shalom. Our Bible is made up of three sections. The first, of course, is the Torah. The second we call Nevi'im, or the prophetic writings, from which the Haftorot come from. Whenever we read a Haftorah, it comes from one of the books of the Nevi'im. And the last section is 13 books that don't seem to have a connection to each other, called Ketuvim. And if you take the Ta from Torah, the N from Nevi'im, and the K from Ketuvim, which turns into a Ch sound when it comes at the end of a word, you get Tanakh, which is how we refer to our Bible, the Tanakh. And in that third section, the section of Ketuvim, is a book called Job, or Yov. And for those of you not familiar with the story, God makes a bet with an angel by the name of Satan, from who the Christian concept of Satan would come, although there are great differences between the Jewish understanding and the Christian understanding. But God makes a bet with Satan that Satan can do anything to his servant Job, and Job will never curse God. So Satan takes away all of Job's wealth, kills all of Job's children, and makes Job's body filled with very painful warts and bruises. At one point, Job's wife, who is only referred to as Job's wife in the book of Job, says to Job, "Curse God and die." And the rabbis are split into their interpretation of this. Some get very angry and say this is a terrible thing for this woman to say, and she said it out of anger at him. Curse God and die. Others say this was a reflection of her pain. And she was saying, I hate seeing you in the pain that you're in. Curse God and die, for death is better than what you're going through. Now, why do I bring this up this week? In our Parsha, Vayishlach, the story of Jacob is interrupted by the rape of his daughter. His daughter, Dina, is raped by the prince of Shechem. She is then forced to marry him, as her brothers end up killing all the other men in Shechem. And the rabbis had a very interesting connection. They said, who was Job's wife? Job's wife was Dina. Why was Job's wife Dina? Because she says to Job, curse God and die, because she has gone through so many horrible things. She's raped, but we don't read anything about her reactions to this in the Torah. It's all about how her brothers get angry. And then she's forced to marry this man. And then finally she meets Job and she gets married and she has this wonderful life, and that's taken away from her. And ultimately she feels profoundly alone. The story of Dina is a reminder that it is an obligation on all of us to make sure no one ever feels that alone, to make sure no one ever feels that isolated. That is what a community is for, and that is part of the message of this week's Parsha, which you can find on page 170.